Hi guys, welcome back to Tia Gaitana. My name is Abby. Actually, I'm going to leave it right here. My name is Abby, and today we are going to be looking at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's natal chart. The credit to this video goes to Arthur, aka Lip and Bone on Twitter, who actually contacted her office and got permission to got her time of birth from her staff, who they asked her permission if it was okay for the astrology community to look at her chart and study it and just be curious or whatnot. So they gave him the okay to share it, and so here we are. So credit goes to Arthur. Really great job on getting this. I kind of want to do that and kind of contact some other offices and see if we can do some of these kind of things for other politicians and see what's up, because I feel like honestly we need to start getting all the details. Like, when were all of y'all born? I need to see all of your aspects. I need to know what is wrong. I need to know. So yeah, so we're gonna be looking at Alex's chart today, and so I'm going to mention certain things, but then there's certain things that I'm not going to talk about during this chart. This is not going to be a full-blown chart reading. I am not going to be looking at specifically some of her personal planets in regards to Venus specifically, as per when it comes to loves and stuff like that. I'm not going to be talking about that because I just want to keep that a little bit more personal. I'm going to talk about her chart in relation to how it's going to affect us socially. Even though when it comes to love, I will say, Alex, if you are watching this video, you need someone who's a little bit more spiritually inclined. And you're actually going to you should have some luck in that department, as per Jupiter being your 7th house. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. But so I'm going to mention a couple of things that stood out to me. I'm going to go through her planets that stood out to me and that I really like for her as far as placements. Then we're going to go to my top 5 aspects, because I'm not going through all of them in this video. That's insane. So the first thing I noticed right off the bat is that she does not have any retrograde planets. That's one of the things I look at when I'm looking at somebody's chart, because to me it really talks about a little bit of karma and stuff that they're gonna have to kind of really readdress throughout their lives. She does not have any retrograde planets, and she also has 8 cardinal planets. So she doesn't have 1 cardinal planet. She doesn't have 5. She has 8. Okay, so she has el fuego, as I will call it in my native language. No, she definitely has a fire. She has a drive. She has a lot of stuff going on. North Node is in Aquarius in her 2nd house. Part of fortune is in Taurus, and her Lilith is in Libra in her 10th house. In her 10th house, actually, it's going to come into play as we talk about this, because she has a lot of activity in that house. And I'm also going to tell you guys how I think that she definitely could run for president and definitely win at some point in her life. That's something that, if she hasn't already put as a goal, I can see her putting as a goal and actually achieving it when it comes to her career goals and future stuff that's going on. Okay, so first things first, her sun and Mars is in the 10th house. So when it comes to this specific type of placement, she has her sun, which is in Libra, by the way. She is a Libra queen, and Mars in Libra in her 10th house. And what this showed me, I have all my notes, by the way, that's why I'm looking down. What this literally, just the first thing that came to my head was just like passion and focus. There's a lot of passion in this area of her life. Is going to be a lot of passion and focus. There is going to be almost like a tunnel vision focus. There's going to be times where she's going to really put all of her self into the space. It plays big on also social awareness, because this is the house of Capricorn. The 10th house is the house of Capricorn, is the house of governments, is the house of career, social status, how we're known. It's very much a grounding house. It's a house, it's a legacy house. It's a very much a one to look at when you're looking at politicians and politics and stuff like that. She's definitely not your typical politician, I will tell you that just from seeing her chart, but she has the drive. Mars in that place, I also wrote in here, Mars will have its wars here. And when I say it's wars, I don't want people to kind of rush into thinking that she's going to sign off on some wars and stuff like that. I mean, that could happen, but when I wrote that, what I meant was, Mars will have its wars here, is that that's where she's gonna have her main battles. That's where she's gonna feel the most conflict. That's where she's gonna feel like she needs to show up, where she needs to really like tell someone off. It needs to be this, that Mars is the planet of war, passion. It's how we fight, with what energy we fight with. And in Libra, it's asking her to really have the balance, like seek the balance. Like when something is imbalanced in her area of work, which is the government, then it's just like her looking for the balance, and she's going to be passionate about balancing that out. And that's how she's going to go to war with people. She's going to be like, well, you're wrong because this is how this imbalances that. Like there's going to be clear, like she's going to clearly be able to state how things are not in the right level. And it's kind of the fact that she's a Libra alone, like the three words that came to me while I was looking at her chart was revolutionary, passion, and balance. And balance takes a big part in her chart when it comes to what she's going to be doing, because a lot of it is really looking at, wait, is this aligned? Is this balanced? Is this fair to this person? Which group is being negatively affected? She can easily is able to pinpoint these things and then like zone in, tunnel vision, and look at the problem and then address it. So she has that energy in her chart, and is really, really beautiful when it comes to government and how she's affecting the rest of us as the masses. So I really, really, really love this placement for her. The fact that she has her the sun and Mars in her 10th. I think it's gonna make her very aware. It also makes her very dangerous to some people. But again, Mars will have his wars here, so she's gonna go. She's not afraid. She does have a cute amount of Aries energy in her chart, so she's not afraid to like go ham and go in when things need to be said, when things need to be addressed, when things needs to be called out. Like, hey, this is not balanced. Like when a Libra, and I always say this, when a Libra comes into your life, it's because there's something that they're going to show you about balancing yourself out in some way. Same when the way with a Scorpio comes into your life, that will transform your life in some way. When a Libra comes into your life, even though, yes, they can be very aesthetically beautiful and all of that, because of that Venus energy, it's about balancing something. There's something that is in balance, which Venus, the energy of Venus is like, okay, this needs to be on this type of level. Like if you're going to be the embodiment of the sign, you're going to need to be on this balance level. And this is another thing, what it looks like to have a healthy Libra, by the way, when you're constantly seeking justice and balance, because that's what she's going to be representing for us. So she will be going ham in this house. If you think at any point in time she's going to calm down at any point when it comes to her views, when it comes to like, maybe she'll vote this way, maybe she'll lean, maybe blah, 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 maybe, like, no, I don't see that. I see like she's going to be going to war for what she knows and what she feels is right. The next placement that I think is really cool when it comes to her planets is that her Mercury is in Libra in the 9th house. And what I wrote for this was balance and fairness, has a larger view of the world, chooses words carefully, understands the consequences of her words and how they will trigger, can see all sides of different situations and can see imbalances and ego-driven actions from others, has her favorite type of history is the resolution and how they affected and balanced out society as in the outcome, loves to learn and seek imbalances in society, looks at the world as a whole, not just in a tunnel vision. So she's not the type, with this placement, Mercury being a Libra in the 9th, she's not the type that's gonna be just like Merca type of thing. Like, yes, you know, she you know, she works for the government in America, but she's also going to look at collectively like what's happening around the world, how other governments are ran, what's working in other countries, which is why she has views that people like to criticize her for, as far as being like a socialist and all of this stuff, and how it affects other countries in different ways that it affects other countries. But she will use those things as an example of how it's working over there, so why can't it work over here? Like, that's something that's always she likes to do that. She likes to learn. She doesn't like to have a tunnel vision type of perspective when it comes to her history, and when it comes to being biased. There is kind of a need for her to see things from both views in order for it to see like what it's almost a very almost Aquariesque perspective, and she does have her North Node in Aquarius, but it's a very kind of like kind of detached in order to see the larger whole. But it's Aquariuses do it, I mean, they're air as well, they're an air sign, so they do it in a way that it has to bring balance, and it needs to be weighted out in order for it to be fair. And I just want to stress this line that I wrote, which is, can see all sides in different situations and can see the imbalances and ego-driven actions from others. So one of the things that personally, because my dad's Libra, and one of the things that I always didn't like about him is when he used his Libra balancing energy to direct the scales towards him instead of actually balancing out in the situation in different arguments and things like that. She is not like this. She can see where other people are doing this actively, and where they're like basically winning, or maybe they have some connection with money, they're getting paid, why they're choosing certain policies, why they're voting certain ways. Like, she can see where other people's ego, how it's going to benefit them separately, aside from what they're actually doing in the government, as far as how it helps everybody else. So she does have an awareness when it comes to people's motives, and that's really important to note. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we talk about Pluto in the 11th, because she's not playing games. Her next placement that I really like, and I should have probably put this in the second one, but it's her moon is in Aries in the 3rd house. And the first line I wrote was, get her mad. I'm sorry. I listen, get her mad, because moon in Aries, first of all, they will attack you first without, and then like process the emotional aspect of what they just did later. Like, they will kill you first and then think about whether they need to mourn you later. It's a very powerful placement. They're very intense. In her 3rd house, this is just like literally get her mad. You're gonna watch her literally. Aries are really good, especially when it comes to Mercury, really good at directing the bigger aspect of what the point was. Like, why were you, like, if she's in an interview or if somebody's talking to her and they're trying to hit her in like a side spot, and I see her doing this to Fox News a lot, where they'll like use her and be like, oh my god, she has all these views, and then instead of like, you know, getting mad or like lashing out at them, she'll be like, oh, thanks for the advertisement. Like, she'll look at the bigger, kind of the bigger picture, but at the same time she'll hit them where it's like, ah, damn, you didn't think about that one, did you? Like, you just literally just add, like, by putting her speech or whatever in the news, and you're bringing awareness to her, so she's able to see things from a different perspective. Like, if you could try to attack her, but are you really winning though? It's kind of where it goes with her. So get her mad, can be impatient, needs result and fast solutions. So if you guys remember that video of her being like, where's Mitch? It's just like, hey, we need to solve this right now. Like, we need the government open. Like, what are we doing? What are you doing? Where are you hiding? So it's a very passionate energy. It's something that really, she has, her moon really affects her when it comes to her chart. Her passion, her emotions, is like she gets triggered emotionally in order to act. Like, if she has her people calling her on her phone, like her constituents calling her like, hey, you know, I'm going through this, she feels that. Like, this is not, I'm gonna use people's stories to you know, because politicians do this all the time. They use people's stories, people that they interact with, and be like, I met Nancy at this and they told me this. No, when she tells you a story, it's because it really hit her hard. Like, it's not, she's not playing around, and she's not trying to use her, like, these type of stories to be a shock factor. She's trying to get you to come back to your humanity, like tap into your humanity. Like, look at what you're doing, look at how you're affecting this, look at how I have to be, I'm so mad that you are allowing this to happen. Like, there's a connection there, and it's really, really important to kind of pay attention to her moon, because it has a lot of, it brings a lot of the fire in her chart. Okay, so the other thing that I wrote is, if you said you were going to do something, you better show up. And Aries do this. They're very much like, okay, well, you said this like 6 months ago, but where it at though? Like, the impatience will be in how you do things as well. It's about, you need to show up. Like, if other people like said, hey, I'm going to do this bill, I'm going to do this. Yeah, but where it at though? how long do I need to give you for you to put it on my desk so I can look at it? Like, what are we doing? Why isn't the government moving fast enough? There's a sense of urgency with her, and it's really, really important. I also wrote, can talk and get her message across with high punches, quick KO type of sentences. And she does this a lot. If you see her interviews, she's able to, like, people will get fixated in one line that she says, and they'll be talking about it for a while. That is one of her strengths in her chart. And she does have a lot of squares in her chart, but that don't matter. That just makes that Aries and makes that fire and the drive really come out and show up. Like, her cardinal energy really, really gets to work when it comes to this, and that's really what it is. It's like, okay, so you want to like fight her on certain things, and that's cute, but hey, in this one line I just explained to you why you're wrong. And then they'll just keep playing it like, damn, she said that, damn, she said that, damn, she said, like, it's tweet worthy, like it fits in the 240 characters, and you know, like, it's good to go. It hits a punch, it hits a note, it tells you, it explains it. Like, Aries are like this. Moon and Aries are like this. Mercury and Aries also are like this. They're very much like, okay, they can write a book in one sentence, basically. Like, they're able to get to the point, get to the solution, get to the outcome with one line. And it's a very beautiful thing to have. It can be very like, it can come off aggressively, and it can come off like too passionate. People that are a little bit more sensitive can find this a little bit more like, oh, whoa, okay, she said that, oh my god. So it can have its thing. But you know, cardinal signs, stuff needs to be said, boo. Like, there's a reason. Like, there's just certain things need to be said. So just, yeah, I'm gonna have to deal with it. The other thing I wrote is, you will forget her lines easily. Very direct. Don't please remember that Aries is they're a warrior sign. They're looking to, it's the end game that they care about. They care about ending the battle. Like, yes, fighting the battle matters, but the point is to end the war. You know what I'm saying? So it's a direct type of thing. They're like, okay, how am I gonna get to the outcome the fastest? Oh, this is the route. So it's not, oh, but let me go through this, and then maybe I should just, no, it's like, okay, the solution is right here. I don't know what y'all looking over there for. So it's a very direct energy. The other thing, the other planets that I really like for her are Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune in the first house in Capricorn. I absolutely love this placement for her, especially because she does have Sagittarius in her first house. And the fact that she's a Sag rising, by the way, means that this year she's going to have a really good year. Very lucky, and she will be pissing people off. She will be pissing people off, but she will be in the news. She'll be in the news constantly, but she'll get lucky. Sorry about the sound, that's a heater. She'll get lucky with kind of the news that comes out of her. Like, she'll get really popular. She'll be in a lot of people's mouths. Good or bad, mostly would be good. There'll be a lot of luck there. She needs to be in the news for the right reasons, though. So watch that, Alex. I mean, I'm sure she'll be fine. Her chart, you'll be fine, boo. I trust you. But she has Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune in the first house. And the fact that Saturn is her first house, and then, like, Sag is also her ascendant, tells you a lot. Because Sagittarius is in the first house, be out here, like, can be out here doing the party thing. But Saturn in her first, she will have her time. Like, there's time. It's gonna be, like, remember when that video came out where she was, like, dancing and people were mad? Nobody died in that video. Like, no, there was nothing wrong with her dancing, yet people wanted to, like, bash her for it. Now, I would be surprised, personally, if there was a video of her, like, shit drunk, high, doing drugs somewhere. Like, I would be super surprised, because Saturn in her first house brings the energy of restriction, of how other people see her. So there is a level of how she presents herself that is a little bit more put together than some Sages can be in the first house. Not saying that Sages can be professional in the first house. I'm just saying, like, y'all always have the best rep, okay? I'm just gonna put it that way. Like, it's, you know, y'all can be all over the place. Y'all moodable. But there is a restriction there. Saturn is, like, anchoring her her sense of self there. How she appears to others. There's an anchor there. With Uranus there's a very futuristic thing about her, revolutionary, and she'll be known for this. This is why I like those three placements specifically. Neptune adds a level of kind of ideas to her, like grand ideas, beautiful, like, oh my gosh, she can paint such crazy views, and you're like, oh my god, how are you gonna get this done and all this stuff. Look at her 10th house, that's how she's gonna get it done. But her first house, she has a lot of ideas, a lot of things that she wants to ground the country in, and that's where Saturn comes into place. Like, Saturn is like, no, we're gonna shake this up. Like, I need you to present yourself in this way, because, and then Uranus comes in and is like, right, because we got some ideas, we're gonna shake things up, we gotta move, this thing needs to change, this thing needs, like, we need something new, fresh energy. Uranus is really going to really use her as an example of how things need to be leveled up and how things need to be moved a little faster, even though Saturn is still there. Like, the energy of Saturn is still there. It's not as a hindrance, more as a grounding. Like her sense of self will be still like creating new traditions and new way of doing things, as well as following her ideals, which is why those 3 planets in the first house. I just love it for her, especially because of all her 10th house placements. So next is Pluto in her 11th house, and I really love this placement for her because the 11th house is a house of friends and social like interactions, social change, social impact. With Pluto in the 11th, this really talks about, and what I wrote was, needs to radically change and make improvements, asks the tough questions and says what everybody knows but is afraid to say, can lead and be part of a movement easily. And the reason why this is important is because Pluto is on her 11th, she'll be able to really ask, like, so why is this not being talked about? Why is this being ignored? Why can't we address this? Why can't this change? Why is this, like, the things that are taboo in the government, the things that are like, you know, we just go about doing it, but we don't really address the fact that it's an issue. She will bring to light, and she will kind of really, a lot of the time, make a name for herself for bringing a lot of these issues that people just kind of like ignore and just kind of throw away, or like, I mean, I feel like with Trump in office, it's really hard for other stuff to be on the news. If he wasn't in office, I feel like a lot more stuff, you'll see a lot more from her as far as changes that need to be made, coming from her, like a lot of different ideas, a lot of her like targeting different things that just don't work, that really need a shift. And that's like that Pluto in the 11th, asking for social change, asking for like a different social impact, how the government can impact society in a better way, by addressing its darker aspects. It's just the way it's affecting people, the traumas is affecting on people, all of these things. And that's why she takes these stories very seriously, like collectively. She sees this, like, this is affecting so many people, this is not right. And then her moon in Aries is just like, who do I need to fight so I can get this, like, who? To point me the direction. So yeah, so those are like some of my favorite planetary placements for her. But now we're going to talk about my top 5 favorite aspects from her chart. And I focus more on the stronger aspects, so I didn't focus on like her medium or her weaker aspects, just because these aspects I can see playing a big role in her personality when it comes to us and socially. So the first one we're going to talk about is Saturn is in a strong conjunction with Neptune, and what I wrote was balance between ideas and the practical, questions restrictions and why the world can't be better, grounded and stable but beautiful and balanced. This is a great placement to making the world a better place. It's not about doing something to just do it, example, getting rich. It's about being visionary, a lack of abuse of power here, social issues matter. And the reason why I wrote why I think this aspect is really important, because of that sentence right there, lack of abuse of power here, because Saturn is there, and it makes it so it's just like she has to be grounded in her ideas. She really has to be passionate about them. Then Neptune brings the energy of, sorry, my best friend just walked in. He scared me. And then Neptune brings the energy of those ideas, the visionary aspect, like how can we make this a better place? How can this be painted more beautifully? How can I enjoy where I'm living? And I think that part, the lack of abuse of power, like there will be a karmic aspect, like a karmic heavy-handedness if she even tries to cross the line in times. Like I feel like Saturn will restrict her in that way. Like she'll know better than to do things that will get her in trouble or will get her like indicted and stuff like that. Like she'll know better, because Saturn is just there. Like there's a reason why you're here, and it ain't for that. So I think that placement is super, super, super beautiful, and I really love it. Even though a lot of people love to hate Saturn, but it's a very beautiful placement. So the next one that I want to talk about is Moon strong opposition to Mercury. And I wrote, this one is makes her brilliant, funny, can go to war with her words, which is what I said earlier. Can go to war with her words, good at defending ideas, needs time to reflect emotionally after she lashes out intellectually, because there's going to be some times where she kind of, again, goes for the end goal, like how can I make my point and just end it, and then kind of will have to come back and just be like, wait, did I maybe speak too harshly, or maybe that I didn't take that person, you know, when it comes to politicians it's hard because you don't need to really, sometimes you don't need to take their emotions into consideration, but then you have to remember that everybody's human. So there is a kind of aspect where she needs to come back and really like, did I say it the way that it should, like, you know, and like just reflect on the emotions after the fact. She's gonna need to do that. I also wrote Aries energy will have her talking faster and ending the game sooner rather than later, but she will need to come back and reflect on her words and how they impacted others and herself by saying them. So it's just a little bit of reflection, because again, Aries moves a little bit faster than some of the other signs. Like if it was a water sign, they will lurk, like sit in it for a minute. Like Aries just does not have the time to sit in it before they tell you what. So you needed to know what needed to know, but it's like afterwards she's gonna have to really like come back and be like, okay, did I say it the right way? Should I have changed my words? Should I have, you know, like, is there, you know, like it, and just reflect. Okay, let's see. The next one is Moon strong opposition with her midheaven, and I wrote, it ain't about the money, and it will never be. That's the first sentence I wrote with this specific aspect, and it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful aspect for her, because again, it's just not about the money when it comes to her doing this for the government, her getting payments and stuff like that. Like like if she runs, I don't see her getting payments from other, like, different companies, rich people and stuff. Like I just don't see it happening at all with this specific placement. There's an emotional component to what she's doing. It's nurturing. Like she's doing this because she cares. There's a truth to this, an emotional truth. It's not, you know, when you're doing something that you love just because you love it, like you'll get paid and you get your paycheck and you're still paying all the other things, but you do it because you love it, and this is a difference. That's what she's doing here. The next thing I wrote was, cares a lot about the people and her ideas and how they will impact on a larger scale. Can be dramatic and impactful. Her words and speeches will strike an emotional nerve. And you can see this a lot with her speeches, with the things she says, with how they end up talking about it on the news. She definitely, again, a lot of her sentences have a strong impact, and they're very tweet-worthy, they're very quotable. They'll have that emotional trigger in there, so she'll be able to have a long-lasting impact with her words. I can definitely see her being quoted, like, well past she has passed in life. I can see her still being quoted in government for different things throughout her career. Like, she'll definitely be doing this on the long run. So the next aspect that I wrote was Mercury strong square with Uranus. And we're going to talk about this one, okay? Because what I wrote was yes. Then the next words I wrote was level up. I wrote loves to learn and focuses on education. New ideas, concepts, better ways of doing things can come off as very opinionated, futuristic. Past generations have a hard time grasping her intensity and ideas. I'm going to repeat that for my people in the back. Past generations have a hard time grasping her intensity and her ideas. Needs more time to really process her ideas practically. So if you see how a lot of times she'll get questioned in interviews and be like, where are you going to get the money from and all stuff, like she does need to take the time to really do a little bit more research, before she goes to some of these battles, because sometimes she is going to get those questions, so she's going to have the answers to those questions up and ready, which with her Mercury and Libra in the 9th, she shall be fine. But for the most part, with Uranus here, it's really like saying, we're talking about the future here. Like, this is very futuristic energy. We're revolutionizing things. We're changing things up. Like, this is not about past generations. We're making a new structure, new foundation. If you look at the generational planets, which she has all of the generational planets from my generation, and I did the generational planets for my generation in my YouTube, so if you want to look at those, that's how we're going to be affecting it. And most of the generational planets are in her first house, so she is going to work at it. This is something that she has to really show up for the generation, especially when it comes to the United States. So yeah, Uranus is really going to demand her to verbally change and say, like, okay, this needs to change, that is wrong, what needs to be she probably has a list somewhere of stuff that needs to get done. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Definitely can come up as very opinionated, and when you are very futuristic, that's something that's just gonna come up. You're gonna come up as very opinionated. People are gonna have issues with it, especially the older generation who's already used to doing things a certain way. But this is not the generation for that. Like, there needs to be change. There needs to be that breath of fresh air, and that's what that's going to bring. The last aspect that I want to talk about is Saturn strong square with her midheaven, and I wrote focused, calculator, persistent with ideas and others, lots of ambition, drive, can take time to achieve longer career goals, including bills, proposals, and presidency. Yes, I said presidency for my Republicans in the back. Somewhere in the back. I see you somewhere. You're gonna be mad. But yes, I said can take time, like, to achieve longer career goals. So I can definitely see her 10, maybe 15 years from now running or something like that, and she would definitely be on the right path of getting it. She will make a name for herself. That's another thing that I wrote. Will be known in the history books. Can be president was the last thing, again, because I need to emphasize that she has the placements, the drive, the passion, the visionary, like the visions, the ideals, to really get elected in the future. So, my people in the back that's still mad, I could be mad. But she's gonna have a lot of social impact. She's gonna be really easy to like. She's gonna be likable. She's gonna be leading different groups, especially with Pluto in the 11th. There's a lot. She has really good aspects to make social change, and people will line up behind her because they'll see where her passions are. They'll see where her fire is. They'll see what the truth is about her. They'll see how she's trying to balance everything out, how to bring different something fresh and new, and represent our generation in a different way. And she will also inspire others to come out. That's also something I see in her chart. So remember the 3 words I said in the beginning that came to me while I was seeing her chart was revolutionary, passion, and balance. And that's something that is really going to come into play throughout her whole life. Again, I'm not doing her whole entire chart because I just didn't want to get too into personal and like the darker aspects and certain things like that. Just because she does have a lot of cardinal aspects and they're mostly driving her to achieve in her career goals, in her status socially, how she's going to impact the rest of us. She has a huge role to play, so that's what I really want to talk about. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. If you do want to book a reading with me, my link to my website is down below. Hopefully, I mean, if you guys can find different birth times for different politicians and stuff like that, send it to me and we'll do one of these, I don't know, a month or something, and we'll do one for different politicians. That'll be fun. I would love to do Elizabeth Warren's chart and see what's up. I would love to look at all the presidential candidates actually and see what's up for 2020. But yes, because Trump ain't definitely not getting elected again. That's a dub. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. Thank you again to Arthur for getting this information, getting the birthday. It was a lot of fun, like, going through. I've been kind of literally, it's been like, I think a week and a half since he got it, and I've just been like just studying her chart and going in and like looking at what I really loved about it and what I really connected to, especially as a cardinal sign myself. Like I can line up behind someone that just wants to get stuff done because, you know, my Capricorn ass, I'm ready for it. So yeah, thank you so much for doing the astrology community giving us this gift of her birth time. And thank you, Alex, for allowing us to have your birth time so we could actually talk about these different things. And I hope that you are also into astrology, because you do have some spiritually inclining things in your chart that your 12th house is there. But you know, we could talk about it at a different time. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe.